Welcome to a new video on this channel, and the first video where I will be talking about an old camera. In this case I will be talking about the Kodak 620 Brownie Model E. I actually own two cameras of this model, and first of all I will be talking about a bit of the history and the background of this camera, and then some of the features, and lastly how I got hold of these two cameras that I own. Yeah, so let's get started. This camera was made in the UK and built between 1947 and 1957. This particular model I have in front of me, and the other one that I own, was made between 1947 and 1953. How do I know that? It's because of the stripes on the face of this camera, on the face side. Here in 1953 they changed the vertical stripes to horizontal stripes. And yeah, so that's how I know that. More specific on date and year which my two cameras were produced, I can't tell you. And also some of the features changed in 1953. This here, this winding knob and this shutter knob was until 1953 made out of metal. After that Kodak changed it to plastic. Well, let's get started with some of the features. We can start with the lens here, which is a meniscus lens, a meniscus f11 100mm lens. And let's go through some of the other features. Up here we have a viewfinder, and we have one more here as well. And we also have two tripod sockets, and that's because, well, that's so you can take photos both vertical and horizontal, so both this way horizontal and this way vertical, which I think is quite practical and nice. And yeah, let's go over, let's turn this camera so we can see some of the features. So yeah, down here this black button is the shutter button, as I mentioned before, and you might see that over here we have a button that says lock. If you push that one down, you can't push in the shutter button, and that is to avoid any potential double exposure or an accidental picture, which I think is in this case a good thing. And down here we have two flash pins. These two you can connect a flash if you need to use one. And yeah, and this is the winding knob. I will coming back to that in a moment. I mentioned it before. And on the side here we have two filters or slides, two slides that I can pull out. The front one, this one, is a slide for portraits or pictures of objects that are close to you. Well, they have to be at least they have to be from a distance from 5 to 10 feet from you, which is roughly 1.5 to 3 meters. And if you want to take photos of other objects, for example a tree or a portrait of a person that's farther away than 10 feet, you just push it in. The other one is the other slide that is in the back is a yellow filter for taking when you're using black and white film. The yellow filter is to add some contrast. And you might see here it says I and B. And when I have the setting on I, see if you can notice it, the shutter works as a normal shutter when you push the button, and when you change the setting down to B, the shutter will remain open as long as I hold, in this case my thumb, on the shutter button, and when I release the button the shutter closes. And if you have if you have this one on B, it means that, well, it's to take photos when the light is not so good. Otherwise you can use the I setting. And yeah, that's a little bit more about that. And yeah, and you also have a catch up here, so you can open the backside of the camera. Here you can say it. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that in the beginning, but the film that is supposed to work with this one is, it says here, use Kodak 620 film. 120 film will not fit with this camera. And here you can see the inside of the camera, and the inside is stuck in the camera, and this, to get the inside out, you will have to pull the winding knob out like this. Then you can take the inside out. This is how this looks. And this is where you put your film spool up here, and then you take this spool and put it down here, and yeah, and put the film through somehow. And on this side it's also say key side here. I don't know if you can see it. So this side goes to the same side as the winding knob, and when the inside is inside the camera, you just push the winding button in. Yes, that's about it about the features of this camera. Yeah, and now I'm gonna talk about, well, first of all, here is the other camera that I own. Both of them are, I think, very nice in the condition-wise, they're nice. And yeah, so as I said, this camera needs 620 film and not 120. You can, from what I found on the internet, you can use some 120 films, but on a 620 spool. But yeah, in some cases. Yeah, that's about it. And there are few places in the world that still sells 620 film. Unfortunately, none of them is in Sweden. the closest place will probably be Germany or the UK, and yeah, that's what I found when I did some research on the internet. Yeah, and yeah, well, so I see if I can order some of the 620 films, so I can see if these two cameras, well, this camera here, which I've been featuring in this video, the whole video, is the one that have the inside. This one, the left one, doesn't have the inside. This is empty, and here you can see the inside of the camera. So now let's go through how I found these two cameras. Yeah, the camera to the left, this one, I found at a thrift shop close to where I live. I went to a thrift shop around Easter to really look for something completely else, and I saw a table with cameras and lenses, different lenses to different cameras, and I saw this camera and it really caught my eye, and I really liked it, and I had and I thought to myself as I was walking around the thrift shop that you have to buy this camera, otherwise someone else might buy it and you will regret it. So I bought it for about for 55 Swedish crowns, which is about $5.15, and that's 55 crowns is also roughly €4.68. And as I mentioned a minute ago, this one is missing the inside, which the right one has. And so I went online again to a Swedish auction site online to see if I can find one, and I did, obviously, and I bought this one as well. That cost me about 100 Swedish crowns, which is $9.36, or €8.52. And these two cameras are the reason to why I got interested in old cameras from the beginning. And I think they're nice, they look nice, and hopefully I can get them working, and hopefully I can get some film. Yeah, that's about it for this video. If you liked it, please leave a like, or if you can help me find some film, please leave a comment, and yeah, that's about it. Thank you. See you in the next video.